My name is Dan Dillner. I am the State Forest Fire Supervisor with Vermont Forest Parks and Recreation. If you're watching this, it is likely you've been appointed as one of Vermont's town forest fire wardens. The fire warden system was established in 1904 with Act No. 16, following devastating wildfires in 1903 and 1904 that burned thousands of acres across Vermont and neighboring states. Currently, there are 300 fire wardens, deputy wardens in Vermont. Fire suppression was the primary duty of forest fire wardens in the early years, when there were few organized fire departments. After many years of failed attempts at regulating open burning, in 1939 a law was passed that required a permit from a town forest fire warden for debris burning during the spring and fall. In 1949 the law was extended to all year except when there is snow on the ground. Since the establishment of the burn permit, fire prevention has become the main goal of the town forest fire warden program. In Vermont, nearly all wildland fires are caused by humans. Annually, town forest fire wardens issue approximately 20,000 burn permits. However, the number of fires remain low, with only 84 fires each year on average over the last 10 years. Without the diligence and knowledge of the town forest fire wardens, it is our belief that we would have many more fires. It is our goal to support you as fire warden with the necessary information and training to do your job. Together, we make a difference to Vermonters, preventing loss of homes and property to wildfires. I know that being a fire warden is not always easy. You're not always popular in your town when it is necessary to tell citizens they cannot burn due to elevated fire danger or illegal materials. However, I want to personally thank you for your service and let you know that you are appreciated. I hope you find this training useful. Please feel free to reach out to me or any of the fire staff at any time with questions or concerns. Thank you, and stay safe.
Thank you, Dan. This year's Town Forest Fire Warden training theme is Let's Get Back to Basics. So, this presentation is intended to be an orientation and an overview of the Town Forest Fire Warden program. My name is Lars Lund. I'm the Southern Fire Response Coordinator and District Fire Supervisor for Bennington and Rutland counties. For many fire wardens, this will be a review of what you do every day. For new and incoming fire wardens, the fire program hopes you find this to be a handy reference, along with your Town Forest Fire Warden Handbook, for the duties and responsibilities of being a fire warden and the resources and support available to you from the Department of Forest Parks and Recreation's fire program. For this presentation, the term fire warden is meant to include both town forest fire wardens and deputy forest fire wardens. We'll start with an overview of the town forest fire warden position. Fire wardens serve 5-year appointments with an unlimited number of reappointments available. The select board of a town approves a new fire warden or reappoints a sitting fire warden, and then the Commissioner of Forest Parks and Recreation or their designee, such as a district fire supervisor, officially appoints that fire warden. The fire program has a schedule by year for the start of a new appointment for each town. Fire wardens are either appointed during the scheduled year or finish out the appointment period of an outgoing fire warden and can then be reappointed. The salary of a town forest fire warden is determined and paid by that warden's town. The state pays fire wardens $30 per year for issuing burn permits and reporting wildland fires. Fire wardens are also paid $30 per year for attending an in-person training held by the state's fire program. The fire program pays fire wardens $10 per forest fire report that contains the report's required information at a minimum and is received within 14 days of the fire's extinguishment. The town forest fire warden is a local point of control for fire prevention and education, and the Department of Forest Parks and Recreation's fire program is grateful for the work that the fire wardens do. So let's talk about permits to kindle fire, otherwise known as burn permits. Much of a fire warden's time is spent interacting with people from their town who want to burn something and know enough to contact their local fire warden for a permit. The authority of a town forest fire warden to issue permits to kindle fire are found in the following title, section, and chapter of the Department of Forest Parks and Recreation's fire warden statutes. Fire permits are not needed when there is snow at the burn site, or if there is 200 feet of separation of wildland fuels around the burn site, or if the fire is in a fire ring. Municipal ordinance may restrict the conditions needed for a permit, so check with your town offices to see if there are open burning ordinances in place. When filling out a burn permit, please print legibly. The white copy is for the permittee and the yellow copy is for you. There is no required numbering system, but recording the year and sequentially numbering the permits should be a minimum. Be specific about the fire's location, which may not necessarily be the permittee's home address, and clearly list the dates when the permit is valid. Most often, a permit is written for just one day. After reviewing the conditions on the back and writing any special conditions on the front, have the permittee sign, then you sign, and leave the white copy with them. If you give permission to burn, record it. It's required by statute and will cover you in case someone questions anything about a burn permit that you've issued. Inspecting a new burn site can avoid problems that the permittee may have not thought out, including adjacent fuels that could easily ignite, a burn site too close to a structure or power line, or illegal materials in the pile. Lot clearing or timber harvest can produce a lot of wood that someone may wish to burn. Knowing how much material is on site is helpful to determine if any special conditions are needed for a burn permit. Address potential smoke issues by writing special conditions for a large burn pile or if the pile contains big chunks of wood, such as keep the fire small, for example, less than 8 feet across, and feed it from the larger pile, or that the pile must be covered with dirt before leaving the burn site. Don't give open-ended burn permits, and avoid giving permits for extended periods of time. Given the variability of weather, especially in the spring, burning conditions can change dramatically in a matter of days. There's no obligation to issue a burn permit simply because someone has contacted you for one. If fire danger is elevated and the weather is hot and dry and windy, the likelihood of an open burn to escape is high, and you are justified in denying a permit request. If you tell someone they can't burn and allow someone else in town to burn on the same day, this will make life difficult for you as fire warden. But if there is someone in town who has broken the conditions of permits that you've issued in the past, you're not obligated to issue a permit to them. This is where your fire education and prevention communication skills are needed. Being a fire warden requires good communication skills. You will be dealing with all kinds of personalities, including some who may not respect your authority to restrict or postpone open burning on their property. If needed, explain the reasons for requiring burn permits, including making sure everyone is burning safely and responsibly, burning only natural wood, avoiding unnecessary fire calls for unpermitted burns, and having fires on days when they can be controlled. Always have a reason for your actions, whether allowing or denying a permit. If there is a misunderstanding or disagreement over a burn permit, it is best to document the circumstances of that situation. Do this while the details are still fresh in your mind. You can contact your district fire supervisor for advice or request a site visit to make sure open burning is being done correctly. If you feel threatened by anyone when at a burn site, leave immediately. If you feel the actions or statements made in a threatening manner are serious enough, contact law enforcement. Fire wardens have the authority to issue Vermont fire prevention tickets. These tickets are specific to violations of sections 2645 and 2648 of the fire warden statutes. This means a fire warden can issue a ticket for burning without a permit, a violation of 2645, or creating an undue fire hazard by piling slash too close to a property line or neighboring structure, a violation of 2648. Most situations involving potential violations can be resolved through education. In the case of the slash law, the fire warden can decide whether a fire hazard exists. Many incidents of burning without a permit also involve burning illegal materials. It is important to note that the actions taken by an environmental enforcement officer will generally result in much higher penalties than a fire prevention ticket. If you have a situation in your town where you feel a ticket would be necessary, please contact your district fire supervisor for a ticket book and a fire prevention ticket user guide if these have not already been issued to you. You should be familiar with all of the steps involved in issuing a ticket before doing so. A fire prevention ticket is handled in criminal, not civil, court. If the ticketed party pleads not guilty and sends their ticket in, a court date will be set, and you will have to represent yourself and explain the circumstances involved in issuing the ticket. The fire program will also be present to explain, if requested, the duties and powers of a fire warden and the fire warden program in general. The fire program believes that issuing a ticket should be considered a last resort after education and reasoning have not worked. Let's move on to the duties and powers of a town forest fire warden. In your role as fire warden, you may be contacted about smoke reports and be asked to investigate open burning, nuisance fires, reported forest fires, or fires that threaten forests. With mobile phones and fire dispatching, permitted burns are likely to get called in by well-meaning people. If a permitted burn is toned out for fire department response, you as fire warden can relay to dispatch that the burn is permitted, and if needed, call the permittee or investigate. If thick black smoke is visible or reported, it is likely not a forest fire, and the fire department should be summoned. While the fire department is on scene and illegal materials are being burned, you or fire department personnel should photo document the burn and notify the town health officer and an environmental enforcement officer. For smoke reports or reports of open burning where no burn permit has been issued, and if you are able to and feel comfortable doing so, you can make a site visit. If you encounter no trespassing signs, do not enter and assess the smoke conditions from the closest public roadway or a vantage point to determine the appropriate response. If you can access the site, it is highly advisable to approach a residence as if you were a UPS driver delivering a package, walking in plain sight to an obvious entrance and attempting to make contact with a resident there. If someone is there, explain your position as fire warden, the nature of your visit, and the need for a burn permit. You can issue a burn permit on the spot if the fire is burning legal materials. Or, if necessary, you can tell the resident to extinguish the fire. If the resident refuses, you can summon the fire department to put the fire out. If no one is there, make a quick size-up of what is burning to determine an appropriate response. Whether or not a resident is at home, if the fire is in danger of escaping or is burning freely and is not contained, you should summon the fire department. You as fire warden may not always be present or available for every forest fire in your town. If you're not a member of the fire department or your town is under another fire department's coverage, without a fire department radio or pager, you may not even be notified of a forest fire in your town. In the absence of the fire warden, the ranking officer of the responding fire department will have the command authority for forest fire suppression. Per this statute from Public Safety regarding fire districts, the ranking officer within a fire department is in charge of that department's personnel and equipment for suppression of all fires, including forest fires. This additional statute provides the same authority of a ranking officer to volunteer fire departments. If you are a fire warden who is not part of the fire department providing coverage for your town, it is important to recognize that the ranking officer of that department is ultimately responsible for their personnel and their equipment. While these statutes pertaining to the fire chief and the fire warden may seem at odds with each other, the wildland fire does not care who is in charge. Keeping a sound working relationship between the fire department and the fire warden is essential, whether it is dealing with fire suppression or tracking where permits to kindle fire have been issued. The bottom line here is that the fire warden should be a member, preferably an officer of the fire department providing fire coverage to his or her town, or have a good working relationship with that department. Switching gears now, there's a lot of information about wildland fire and the fire warden program at the Forest Parks and Recreation's Wildland Fire webpage. The fire program is updating information on this site, and resources here should be considered the most up-to-date versions available. On the Wildland Fire front page, there's contact information for the fire program staff. If you ever have any questions about the fire program, please feel free to reach out to your local fire district supervisor or to Dan Dillner, Vermont's State Forest Fire Supervisor. The Wildland Fire site has several pages, highlighted here in yellow, for different topics and programs within the fire program. The Fire Warden page has plenty of resources, including a Fire Warden directory where Vermont citizens can find contact information for their town's forest fire warden. The Fire Warden portal link brings you to a Fire Wardens only webpage. If you've misplaced your username and password to log into this page, please contact your district fire supervisor. Once you've logged into the Fire Warden portal, you can report fires in your town, view past fire reports by warden, town, county, district, or year back to 2008, view and update your contact information, or find another warden. The fire program requests that you update your contact information when your address, phone numbers, or email address change. This information is used in the Fire Warden directory. As a fire warden, you will see and deal with violations of the air pollution control regulations. It is important to note that fire wardens are not responsible for air pollution enforcement or other environmental rules. This backyard burning link has a lot of resources to help you deal with situations involving illegal burning. The fire program strongly encourages you to review the information found on the backyard burning page. The majority of air pollution violations probably result from the violator's lack of knowledge about the regulations. In general, merely informing the person of the violation is enough, and they will agree to stop. In a situation where a person refuses to comply, or if they have committed a serious violation such as burning large amounts of illegal materials, please call and report the incident to your local environmental enforcement officer for follow-up or investigation. Photo documenting any air pollution violations will greatly assist the environmental enforcement officer if they decide to pursue enforcement action. You should also inform the town health officer of any illegal burning to make them aware if future violations occur. If you feel that illegal burning will repeat itself, you should inform the responsible party what will happen next if they burn illegally, such as follow up with an environmental enforcement officer who can issue fines, or local enforcement of the statute shown here on the screen. You should leave them a copy of this statute as a deterrent against future burning. A map of environmental enforcement officer coverage and their contact information, and a link to this statute are on the backyard burning page, or you can contact your district fire supervisor for copies. If you are dealing with someone who does not understand the need for a burn permit or that they can only burn natural woody materials, you can contact your district fire supervisor to request a site visit. This link brings you to the most current version of the Town Forest Fire Warden Handbook. If you have questions about the Fire Warden program, this is a great resource to check. Or you can direct town officials or the public to this link if they have questions. This link brings you or the curious general public to a frequently asked questions page. Clicking on the plus symbol in front of the question will display the answer. Please send your district fire supervisor any additional questions you feel would benefit you and your fellow fire wardens. Below the Fire Warden FAQ on this page are links to 5 topics containing helpful information. 2 notable links are the burn permit and key person. The burn permit link has key points and information regarding how and when to issue burn permits. A key person is someone that you as fire warden delegate to issue burn permits on your behalf. It is advised not to have more than 1 or 2 key persons in your town to avoid confusion if you as fire warden have decided to stop issuing burn permits due to unsafe burning conditions, or if someone in town should not receive a permit due to past burning practices. A key person is not the same as a deputy forest fire warden. The deputy forest fire warden is another appointed fire warden in your town with all the duties, powers, and responsibilities of a fire warden. Please let your district fire supervisor know who the key persons are in your town. The Monitoring Fire Danger page is updated daily between March 20th and November 30th each year. If spring fire season gets an early start or fall fire season persists late, these dates can be adjusted. The fire program has worked closely with the National Weather Service and neighboring states to develop fire danger rating areas based on similar climate, fuel types, and topography. The fire danger adjectives for each of these rating areas are also driven by reported fire occurrence, so please be sure to report all wildland fires that occur in your town. On this page and every other wildland fire webpage, anyone can sign up to receive the daily Vermont Fire Danger Forecast. The fire program website has a fire prevention page with links to Smoky Bear materials and information about open burning awareness and how a burn ban can be put into place. A burn ban occurs when the Commissioner of Forest, Parks, and Recreation directs the fire wardens to stop issuing burn permits for a set amount of time. This happens when the state has been experiencing or is predicted to have exceptional fire danger for an extended period of time. At this point, many fire wardens have already stopped issuing burn permits in their individual towns. When the Commissioner of Forest, Parks, and Recreation puts a burn ban on, there is direct notification to all fire wardens by the fire program, and press releases to news media in collaboration with other state agencies, including Vermont Emergency Management, spread the word to make sure the public is aware of the ban. The same notification occurs when the ban is lifted. The fire seasons page describes when to expect fires in Vermont, conditions that promote fire during these seasons, and what type of fire to expect. The fire equipment page details the fire program's Wildland Fire Equipment Purchase Program. Each year, the fire program uses federal volunteer fire assistance grants funds to administer this program. Fire departments that provide fire coverage to towns with populations of 10,000 or less can purchase wildland fire gear such as personal protective equipment, hand tools, and water handling equipment at 50% of the listed price. In the fall, an announcement is sent to fire chiefs and fire wardens about this program. The program is open for about 2 months for fire departments to place an order and submit payment. The fire program handles ordering, receiving, and delivering this equipment to fire departments. Please make sure to check back to this webpage in the fall. The fire training webpage contains links to useful trainings, including segments from past forest fire warden trainings and a link to annual wildland fire safety refreshers. In addition to the online resources, the fire program will provide fire wardens with the necessary supplies to carry out their duties. If you need any of these supplies, please feel free to reach out to your district fire supervisor. You should have an ample supply of permit books on hand before springtime rolls around. If you or your fire department are planning any fire prevention activities and would like wildland fire prevention or education materials, please let your district fire supervisor know. The fire program does have Smoky Bear costumes available for use on a first-come, first-served basis for bona fide fire prevention events. Use of these costumes must follow guidelines that are provided with the costume. As a point of local control, you as fire warden are in the best position to know about wildland fires in your town. The Forest Fire Warden statutes, under the Duties and Powers section shown here, directs fire wardens to report fires within 2 weeks. Additionally, the fire occurrence data has greater implications than simply knowing when a fire happened in a particular town. The fire program will continue to improve forecasts within the fire danger rating areas as more fire reports are received. If you need assistance with reporting a fire, please contact your district fire supervisor. Fire reports can be submitted by paper copy or online. Reportable fires are wildland fires that started from an escaped open burn, whether that burn was permitted or not. Wildland fires that were started by equipment, fireworks, railroads, or power lines. Wildland fires that were started by lightning. Wildland fires that were started by a structure fire, or wildland fires that were intentionally set or a result of children playing with fire. You do not need to report fires if they were a nuisance call, a smoke complaint, or the fire did not escape someone's control. If you know what the fire cause is, but it is not listed among the cause options, please choose other causes. If you do not know what the fire's cause is, please choose undetermined. As previously mentioned, the fire danger forecast is produced daily from March through November. This information is available from a variety of sources and can assist you in deciding whether or not to issue burn permits on a given day. The fire program works closely with the Burlington National Weather Service office to determine if fuel and weather conditions warrant issuing a red flag warning, a fire weather watch, or a special weather statement. These are National Weather Service products similar to winter weather or high wind warnings and watches, and are in effect for a set amount of time. These watches, warnings, and statements must meet certain criteria, and the National Weather Service consults with the fire program before issuing them. A red flag warning should not be confused with a burn ban issued by the Commissioner of Forest Parks and Recreation. If you need assistance with an ongoing wildland fire in your town, please call the Vermont Emergency Management Duty Officer number shown here on the screen. This is essentially the fire program's dispatch number. If you don't have this number handy, but you do have your district fire supervisor's number, then please call one of us instead and we'll contact Vermont Emergency Management. Because the fire program has a limited staff and shared duties with the Forest Health Program that covers several counties, it's a safe bet we won't be close enough to assist in the initial attack stages of fire suppression. The fire program does have specialized water handling equipment and lightweight forestry hose to assist with fires that burn for several days. Fire staff can assist with suppression, mapping, and work in unified command with the fire warden and fire department officers. Fire staff can also assist with after-action reviews, where fire personnel have an opportunity to discuss what went well, what did not, and what can be improved for the next fire. If you know or believe that a fire is burning on or threatening any agency of natural resources owned land, the fire program requests you contact us immediately. The fire program needs to be involved in the incident command on these lands and will work with the fire warden and fire department officers to determine the most appropriate strategy, which may include just monitoring the fire. The fire program will work with you as fire warden to determine if the fire department providing fire protection on agency-owned lands is eligible for reimbursement. A flat rate of $500 per hour is paid if a fire report is received within 2 weeks and the district fire supervisor and fire warden approve the costs. The reimbursement rate is the same whether the minimum from a single department is met or many departments respond through mutual aid. The reimbursement process involves submitting an approved invoice to the town for fire suppression costs, the town paying the fire department, and then the state reimbursing the town. Please contact your district fire supervisor if you have any questions about this process. And again, if you believe a fire is on or threatening agency of natural resources owned lands, please contact the fire program immediately. The fire program provides several different methods of training for fire wardens and fire departments. Each year in advance of spring fire season, the fire program hosts a town forest fire warden training. This is an opportunity for fire wardens to catch up with each other and the fire program, pick up needed supplies, and receive training. The fire program also recognizes fire wardens for their years of service during this training. Fire departments can request the fire program to provide training, usually done as a refresher in advance of spring fire season. If you or your fire department would like a wildland fire training, please contact your district fire supervisor. The Vermont Fire Academy Firefighter 1 certification includes a wildland fire control course. This course includes a weeknight training and a practical outdoor session on a weekend. Fire wardens can sign up to audit this course to increase their knowledge about fire behavior, fire line safety, and suppression methods. There are a handful of Firefighter 1 courses taught throughout the state each year. For dates and locations, you can call the Vermont Fire Academy or visit their website. As mentioned many times during this presentation, if you have any questions, need any supplies, require a site visit to assist you, or just want to catch up with one of us, please don't hesitate to call, text, or email. The Town Forest Fire Warden program continues to be an effective system to prevent fires, educate Vermonters about proper open burning, document fire occurrence, and when needed, safely suppress wildland fires. Department of Forest Parks and Recreation's fire program is grateful for the dedication of all fire wardens, both past and present, in keeping Vermont safe. Thank you.